The headlights cut through the darkness like a knife, illuminating the endless stretch of asphalt that disappeared into the abyss ahead. I gripped the steering wheel tightly, my knuckles turning white with every mile I drove into the night. The road seemed to stretch on forever, winding through dense forests that whispered eerie secrets in the wind. I glanced at the clock on the dashboard. 2:47 a.m. I had been driving for hours, my eyelids heavy with exhaustion, but I couldn't afford to stop, not in the middle of nowhere, with no sign of civilization in sight. My phone had lost signal miles ago, and I hadn't seen another car since I left the last gas station. As I rounded a bend in the road, something caught my eye. A figure standing by the side of the highway, barely visible in the dim glow of my headlights. My heart pounded in my chest as I approached, the figure slowly coming into focus. It was a woman, her long hair tangled and matted, her clothes torn and dirty. She stared at me with empty eyes, a haunting expression on her face. I hesitated for a moment, then pressed down on the accelerator, eager to put distance between myself and the strange woman. But as I sped past her, I couldn't shake the feeling of dread that washed over me. What was she doing out here, in the middle of nowhere, at this ungodly hour? My mind raced with possibilities, each one more terrifying than the last. I tried to push the thought from my mind as I continued down the desolate highway, but it lingered like a shadow, growing larger with each passing mile. I glanced in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see the woman chasing after me, but the road behind was empty, swallowed up by the darkness. Suddenly, a loud thud jolted me from my thoughts, causing me to swerve wildly on the road. I slammed on the brakes, heart pounding in my chest as I struggled to regain control of the car. When I finally came to a stop, I glanced around frantically, trying to make sense of what had just happened. That's when I saw it. A deer lay motionless on the road, its body twisted and broken from the impact. Guilt washed over me as I realized what I had done. The poor creature's life snuffed out in an instant because of my carelessness. I stepped out of the car, the cold night air biting into my skin as I approached the lifeless animal. But as I got closer, something seemed off. The deer's eyes were empty, devoid of life, yet there was something unnatural about them, something almost human. A shiver ran down my spine as I stumbled back from the carcass, the realization sinking in. This wasn't just any deer. It was a warning, a message from whatever malevolent force lurked in the darkness. I had trespassed into its domain, and now it was letting me know that I wasn't welcome. I quickly got back into the car, heart racing as I turned the key in the ignition. But instead of the comforting hum of the engine, all I heard was a sickening sputter before it died completely. Panic surged through me as I tried desperately to restart the car, but it was no use. I was stranded, alone on a desolate highway in the dead of night, with no one to hear my cries for help. I reached for my phone, hoping against hope that maybe, just maybe, I would miraculously have signal again. But as I stared at the blank screen, I knew that I was truly alone. I sat there in the darkness, the silence broken only by the sound of my own ragged breathing. Every shadow seemed to conceal unseen horrors, every rustle of the wind a whisper of impending doom. I was trapped, a mere pawn in a game I didn't even understand. Hours passed, though it felt like an eternity. The darkness seemed to stretch on forever, swallowing me whole until I was nothing but a speck of dust in the void. And then, just when I thought I couldn't take it anymore, I saw it. A faint glow on the horizon, growing brighter with each passing second. At first, I thought it was just a trick of the light, a figment of my weary imagination. But as it drew closer, I realized that it was something else entirely. Headlights, dozens of them, cutting through the darkness like beacons of hope in the night. Relief flooded through me as I watched the procession of cars approach, each one bringing me one step closer to safety. But as they passed by, something inside me twisted with dread. The drivers didn't look like normal people. Their eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, their faces twisted into grotesque masks of malice, and as they passed, they whispered words that chilled me to the bone. "You shouldn't have come here." I watched in horror as the last car disappeared into the night, leaving me alone once more on the desolate highway, and as the darkness closed in around me, I knew that I was doomed to wander these lonely roads forever, a prisoner of the night.